Hey guys, I am Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the DC Multiverse Injustice 2 Platinum Series Batman and Superman from the folks over at Mattel. That's right, my friends. Multiverse is sort of on a bit of a comeback here. We're starting to get some new figures, and these new additions to the line are really interesting. They're based on the Injustice 2 video game, and they're made of die-cast metal. Really interesting concept, so let's take a closer look at them. As you can see, they come in those new style window boxes that the Mattel DC Multiverse figures are coming inside of, so it fully showcases the figures there within. Let's go and get these guys outside of the boxes and take a closer look at them. I want to start with the scale. So I've got them on their little display bases here. So if we go from the bottom of the feet to the top of the heads, you can see that these guys measure right under 7 inches tall. In fact, Batman's ears definitely go up to the full 7 inches. Superman's head there, I would say he's about 6 3/4 inches tall. So they seem a little bit bigger than, some of like the DC Universe Classics figures. They definitely feel bigger. Overall, they feel big and chunky, and they're very heavy because of all those die-cast metal pieces. So I'm going to put Superman back here for a second. I'm going to take Batman off his display base. You hear that thing? Look at how big and chunky this thing is. So this dude is really heavy. And the die-cast metal pieces, from what I can tell, seem to be the armor bits that are found down here on the shins, the armor bits here on the thighs, the torso here all seems to be the die-cast metal piece, and everything else I believe is plastic, except maybe the metal bands here around the biceps. So it's a mixture of plastic and die-cast metal, but they feel very solid and very heavy as a result. The best thing I can relate these to, if you've picked up any of those Disney Store Star Wars figures that are the die-cast metal, these feel and they almost are about the same size as those action figures. That's the best comparison I can think of to something else that's on store shelves today. They're really interesting looks. Of course, the look of the Injustice characters is very busy, I guess is the right word. There's a lot going on. They're very armored up. They're very unique looking. I've always really liked the Injustice games. The looks of the characters, I don't know if they've really always been my favorite looks, but I will say that these figures do a pretty good job of capturing those looks. So Batman here is very, very armored up. I mean, he's wearing a full helmet that covers his face and everything here. And I will say that the paint deco is really nice. I mean, you can see how shiny he is. The metal parts really stand out. I mean, same with Superman here. We bring Superman up. The blues are really nice. There's a great mixture of this dark blue and this like metallic bright blue, and it's very, very shiny. You can see they use like a gloss red on there. You got a nice, really metallic gold seen on the belt as well as on the S emblem. So the characters are bright and colorful with really, really nice paint deco. So when it's die-cast metal, that definitely makes you curious about what the articulation is going to be like on these figures. So with Batman here, the head is ball jointed, so he can look left, right. You can also move his head slightly up and down. It's really interesting. It does hit his armor a little bit in some poses, but you can see it's a decent amount of articulation. The arms are ball jointed, and they made this shoulder armor, this softer plastic a little bit, so you can see it kind of flexes. With the arms, it doesn't get in the way of the articulation at all. You can also move the arms forwards and backwards. You can actually swivel at the bicep. This is like die-cast metal right here, but you can swivel that. You got a standard single joint at the elbow. You got a standard swivel at the wrist there. There is nothing going on in the torso because this is all die-cast metal. You can swivel them at the waist, and you can see that the belt is like a separate piece there. So you can swivel them at the waist, but there's nothing in the torso at all. You got the hinge joints there, so legs can go outwards, forwards, and backwards, very similar to what we've seen on DC Universe Classics and such in the past. You do have a solid single joint at the knees. They're nice and tight, I will say. This is die-cast metal here on the shins, but then there is nothing in the feet, nothing in the ankles because of the metal, and that is definitely going to hinder the way you can pose these guys because you can't do anything with his ankles. So like if I make his legs wide, look what happens to his feet. I mean, you're really going to have to get creative. So the articulation is decent, but it's not like really, really, I would say like super posable or anything like that. You're not going to get some really crazy dynamic poses out of these guys. But I will say that with the metal, they're nice and solid. They balance really well. The other thing to mention is the cloth capes here. I've always got a weird kind of mixed feeling about cloth capes. Sometimes they just don't look right. These definitely feel like that very vintagey kind of cloth material you felt on like old Batman figures. It's also kind of curled upwards because of the way it was in the package. It's a little thin. I don't know. I kind of feel like it should be billowing outwards a little bit more, but otherwise I suppose it's just fine. It doesn't come off. It's actually attached to the armor there up at the top. Let me just go ahead and bring Superman to the foreground a little bit so we can mess around with him a little as well. All of his articulation is exactly the same there, so you can still pose this guy around a lot. I like that you can get the hands on the hips pose for him, so that's really nice. But same with the ankles, there's nothing there, so you're kind of limited in what you can do since you can't really move his feet around. And his cape has got this nice kind of shiny shimmer to it, which is really cool. But again, it's real thin. I kind of wish it looked a little bit better than this, but that's always kind of the problem with the cloth capes on action figures, I think. They just don't always sit very naturally. They don't look quite as perfect as you'd like them to. So the other thing I want to talk about with Superman that's different than Batman, of course you can see Superman's face here. And it's really interesting the way they did this. It almost looks like they did the screen printing technology, maybe taking like the skin from the game and, doing the print on his face. Because it's got almost like a bit of a fuzzy look to it. Like you can see the way it was printed on. It's not quite as crisp as I kind of think it should be. And it almost gives him a bit of a blurry look in the face. Now that's not so bad when you look at him from a distance, but when you get up close, I don't know if it's really coming across on camera there. So I might sound like I'm crazy, but it's noticeable in person. It looks a little too soft, I think. The details are just a little softer than I'd like. So, as you probably saw already, both figures come with this round plastic base with the DC logo on there with 2 foot pegs. Both of the figures cling very nicely to this. It's a nice tight attachment with the pegs there, and it definitely helps to keep them standing. They don't really have any problems without them, but it definitely helps just add a little more balance, especially since they are die cast. They could tend to get a little top heavy depending on what poses you get them in, so the stands do help keep them up. So these guys definitely make for great display pieces, I will say that. If you just want something to represent the video game and stand on your shelf, especially since they're made of that die-cast metal, you're probably not going to want to play with these. I definitely think these are more meant to be collectibles, which is why they're being pushed in that kind of Platinum series or the collector line from Mattel. I do like the overall sculpt, and the look and the shininess is very, very cool. So if you're a big fan of the game, this might be something that you'll want to hunt down yourself. I gotta give a very special thanks to Mattel for sending these guys over so we can get a good look at them outside of the packaging. These should be hitting store shelves any time now, if not already. I think these are already starting to leak out there, so happy hunting, my friends. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button, leave me a comment, and let me know what you think, and don't forget to subscribe for more toy reviews. Until next time.